So right now we're going to talk about understanding files and how to do storage, different types of storage, different types of files, how to manipulate the RX control. Now first of all, I want to explain the fact that this is the same on any RX product. So it doesn't matter whether it's a VMC, a TMC, one of our DPM bed mills, or one of our lathes. This process is exactly the same. Basically, you have two different ways to store files. You can either store them as a standard file, or you can save them as a temporary file. And I'm going to explain the difference. So I'm going to start out with the temporary. So let's look here at the control, and you'll see that I've got a program in here. It's got a profile, a pocket, some circular, some holes being drilled, some circular kind of stuff that I'm going to do in these places. If I go to the tool table, you'll notice right here, there's 3 tools in here. I've already explained how to do the tool setup. My base tool is set. All my tool offsets are good, right? I've gone to DRO. I've set my zeros all completely where I want to be, and so on and so forth. And I've got everything done. Now, let's say that it's Friday night, and I'm not working again till Monday, but I haven't completed what I want to do. Well, then it might make sense to save this as a temp file, because the temp file will make me actually keep all the information on that tool setup, my tool offsets, my part zeros, all of that. So what I'm going to do is go to program in and out mode, and you'll notice that in here there's no program that says anything about this DPM tool setup program that I wrote. But what I'm going to do is just push right here this new button that says Save Temp. And when I push Save Temp, you'll see a little green box come up saying it's saving. And unlike the fact that right here on the screen you're looking at all the programs on my USB memory stick, in reality it doesn't care about that. The temporary file is burned to the internal memory and it remembers everything about what you got going on. So now let's say it's Monday morning and I want to run that job again. I just turn the machine on, come back to program in and out, and I would push Open Temp. Now notice there's a button there, that green line that says, hey, make sure your part zero is correct when you use this feature. If the machine moved with the power when the power was off, the part zero will not be correct and the tool number and the spindle may not be correct. What it's saying is that if there's any way that you could move the machine while it's turned off, there's nothing that the control could know that had happened. However, because almost every one of the products we're talking about has electronic hand wheels, there's physically no way to move the machine. There is one exception to that rule, right? The DPM 2 and 3, the electronic hand wheels are an option. So if you had regular hand wheels that are on the ball screws, then you could actually physically move it while it's shut off. But if that's the case, that's what that warning's about. Any other one, you can pretty much ignore it and just push OK. So what you're going to notice is I just reopened that program. It's Monday morning now. I've still got a program. It still knows where it was the last time I used it. It still knows everything about the tool table. So the advantage to the temporary file is, of course, the fact that you can keep all the information. I would also suggest that you use the temporary file when you're programming and making big programs, because every once in a while just stop and say Save Temp. It's going to store your work just like any other thing you do in a computer, right? So if something happens and you accidentally erase something or the power goes out or whatever, you're going to have everything that you have done so far as soon as you open that temp file. Okay? All right, so the second type of files I want to talk about is really just storage of standard files and how to manipulate them. And again, this works on any RX product. But let's say I got a file that I make and I'm done with it, but I want to keep it because somewhere down the road I may need to run it again, and I don't want to go through the whole process of creating a new program or a new part file. So I'm right where I was before. I've got my program in here. As you remember, I got my name. I've got the whole thing and ready to go. I'm going to go to program in and out mode. And in the program in and out mode, you'll notice that right now what we're looking at is inside of one of my folders for the video programs that we do here. But if I touch that at the top, you'll see that I have my hard drive, everything that's running the control. If I touch it again, I go to D drive, you'll see that I have separate folders for the different types of files that I use, whether it's for my applications role or for video or personal stuff, whatever. And down here at the bottom, you'll see that it says DPM tool setup, because that's the name of my program. So instead of pushing Save Temp this time, I'm just going to push Save File, and you'll notice that it put that program right here under DPM tool setup .pt10. PT10 just simply means the 10th version of the ProtoTRAK control, and that's what all RX products save as an extension. Now there's other extensions for different things that we import into our machine, but everything we make in the machine itself is going to be a PT10 file. Sorry about that. Okay, now let's say that I did what I did here. I've got all these different folders and I've got this one program here that I really wanted to put in one of my folders. Well, I want to show how to manipulate this a little bit too. So let's say I hold my finger down here till this little ring shows up. Let go, that's where your cut, copy, paste, and delete are, right? So I'm going to copy this file, and then I'm going to open up my video files right here, video programs, and then I'm going to hold my finger here somewhere. And when I let go, I'm going to say paste, and now I've added that file just like you would in Windows from one section to someplace else. So the copy, paste, delete files all works the same way. Now you also have the ability to store programs on the network. It works exactly the same way. So if you have the networking capability hooked up on your machine, then you would just be saving them to a network as opposed to a USB memory stick like I am right now. Okay, if I want to delete a file, so for instance, I'm going to go back one step, go back to that very first one I made right here and hold that one, then hit delete. It is going to warn me when I delete, but now it's in that folder, but it's no longer there by itself. Outstanding, okay? Some other things that I can do in here is I can create folders, I can rename things, stuff like that, okay? So like if I wanted to take this file right here that has my name in it, and I wanted to rename that file, I could just put in here something like, let's just say that I call it fits1 so I know what I'm doing here. Close my keyboard and push rename, right? And now notice that instead of that folder being called fits, it says fits1. So that's how you rename stuff. And if you wanted to actually come in and just make a folder, let's just go and delete this one real quick. And let's just type in something else like my first name here. And then if I say create folder, you're going to see when I close the keyboard that now there's actually a folder called Pat. Okay, so it's really simple. It's just Windows. So everything in it works the same way as Windows. But keep in mind that when you save these types of files, the only thing you're going to get when you reopen them is that program. The information about the tools you use will be there, but none of the offsets, none of the part 0, none of that stuff will be there. So you will have to do the tool setup like we showed in a previous video again before you're actually machining. So this pretty much covers how all of it works. I hope you got a lot out of this, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so in this segment, we're going to talk about the TRAK USB Memory Option. And the biggest reason for this video is because we get this question all the time. We sell memory sticks here at TRAK Machine Tools for our products, and we have for a lot of years. And most people go, well, why should I buy yours when I can get one at a local department store or electronics store or a trade show or whatever, either for free or for $5. And yours is kind of expensive. So I'm going to try to put this into layman terms so you have an idea. But first of all, our USB stick doesn't look any different than anybody else's USB stick, except that it says TRAK Machine Tools on it. This particular one is a 2 gigabyte. However, when we first started selling them, believe it or not, there were 520 megabytes. And we could still probably put 1,000 of our programs on there because our programs are basically just text files and take up very little space. Okay, but there's reasons involved with why we tell you you should have a better memory stick. And what we refer to this one as is an industrial grade memory stick, and it gives you a lot of things that you wouldn't get with a cheap one that you buy from someplace else, okay? And so let me kind of go over some of those. These industrial grade USB sticks give you a better performance in a lot of different ways, okay? And the easiest way to explain that is that these are not affected by electronic interference, okay? The one that we sell is made by a company called Delkin. There's other industrial ones that are probably very good as well. We don't require a huge amount of memory. We've got networking like I've talked about before on the machine, so large files can be downloaded a lot of different ways. Okay, but some of the advantage to this, you know, these things use SLC technology, okay, and that provides a faster read-write speed. And it also, when you have an industrial one like this, it's going to probably have 10 times the life of a cheaper one, okay? Our flash drives support all of our products. So if you buy one of these, it'll work with any ProtoTRAK product you ever had. It'll also work in any PC or laptop you have, so you also have that capability. So you're going to spend more money but it's going to last longer. And here's the big one, right? When you use cheaper flash drives, sometimes you get some sort of interference which will affect your machine, okay? And what I mean by that is it's very common that when you write a program in a CNC machine, when you go to the run mode, it creates a temp file. That temp file is running that file in the run mode for you. And that can be stored anywhere. So when you go to the run mode, it looks for open space where it can put that temp file while you're in the run mode, and it puts it there. If you've got your memory stick plugged into your machine, there's a chance that the place it chooses is your memory stick. And now that run file is running from your memory stick. So if it's a cheap stick with interference, you might get some weird errors or interruptions or something like that as you're trying to run your piece part because of the way it's being fed from this stick. Okay? If you have an industrial grade one and it's running from this, you'll never have a problem with that. So that alone makes it worth the money. Okay, now we test every one of our drives to make sure they work well with this, and like I said, they work in every one of the different products. So if you buy one of these, you'll find that it'll last you probably forever. In my toolbox, I've still got 3 or 4 of the 520 megabytes that still work for my regular programs all the time. And also keep in mind this, that once in a while we upgrade our software. And now with these newer products that are so much more powerful, the software itself is over a gigabyte. So you need to have at least 2 if you're going to upgrade your software yourself, which we allow you to do most of the time for free directly from our website. So if you have a good stick that has enough capacity, it's going to fill all of those voids, right? So the pros and cons are, the pros are everything I just described to you. And the con is the fact that it doesn't cost $5 and someone's not going to give it to you at a trade show, right? So you will have to invest in it, but one of them will probably last dang near the life of the machine if you take care of it. So hopefully this clears up a lot of the questions about the memory option. Of course, it is an option. You can buy the machine without it and put your own in there. But trust me, if you've run into problems and you can't quite put your finger on what's going on, you're probably going to talk to someone in our service department, and the first question they're going to ask you is, what are you using for memory? So keep in mind that better products, it's the same old scenario you always hear, garbage in, garbage out. Buy a good product for your memory, everything's going to work out fine. It's going to be well worth it in the long run. So in this segment, we're going to actually talk about another subject that comes across our desk a lot, and that's how to properly download the offline software option from our website. Okay, and so I'm going to show you the whole process of how to go about it. But before I do, let's talk about a couple things. First of all, when you get that option, it will come with all the instructions along with your machine, or if you buy it separately, it's going to come in the mail with your dongle and stuff like that. But you are going to have a small USB dongle that has to be in the machine you're running it from. Okay, so that means if it's in a laptop, you're going to need a dongle for that. If you decide to put it in your PC, you can take the dongle out and run it in your PC. So you can have the software downloaded into multiple machines and just move the dongle around. Or if you buy multiple seats, you'll get it at a lesser price. Okay, we have an offline programming system from every ProtoTRAK we've made back into the 1990s. Okay, but what I'm going to show you is basically how to do the RX, which is our newest product. And I do want to point out a couple other things which I'll show you when we get it up and running, such as when you buy one seat of offline, you can run both the milling machines or the lathes from it. So that's pretty handy too. So what do you say we get started? I'm going to show you the whole process here in my laptop. Okay, so now you guys are looking at my computer screen, and I'm going to go through the entire process for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the internet. And if you've never done this before, you're going to type in our website. So just very simply put in TRAK, T-R-A-K, MT for machine tools.com. It's going to show up in there right away. And that's going to take you to the website. Now in the website, you're going to look for resources and support and click on that. Whoops, just once. And the next thing you're going to look for is software. So click on the software, and that's going to bring you into the different types of software for our machines, our offline, and so on and so forth. When you look through here, you're going to see ProtoTRAK offline software. So we're going to open that next. And now what you're going to notice is there's offline software for many of our different control products. So here's the EX product, the KMX product, the LPM product, the older PT4s. There's the RX. Here's the older SX, TMX, and you'll also notice down here that there's miscellaneous software. Some of the older offlines will require you to download miscellaneous software. However, what I'm going to show you today is the RX, and the RX, it's all included. So you'll notice here that it tells you the applications for what machines will work with the RX, so make sure that you have the right one, and then simply click here where it says full instructions. Now you'll notice in the full instructions that it actually writes out and shows you pictures of everything you have to do to follow along through the installation process. For the most part, it's going to do it for you and just ask a few questions like most software does, but at least you have an idea what's coming up. So I'm going to go back here to the top, and I'm simply going to click on the download button, and you're going to notice that it starts a download process right here in the lower left corner. Okay, so now as you can see right here, it's downloaded in a zip file. And if you click on this right here, it'll take you directly to your download files. However, to keep this clearer for the video, I'm going to first minimize and get rid of the website picture. I'm going to actually click on my folders, go to my downloads, and you'll notice in here you have your RXOL. Now this is a zip file, so you have to right click and extract all the information first. It's going to ask you where to extract it to. I'm just going to simply leave that where it is and push extract. Now that that's done, I'm going to come back here and right or left click twice. And in here, depending on what your software is set up for protection, there's a good chance that you're going to have to push this button that says more info and say that you trust this source, so run anyway. Now it's going to ask me if it's okay. I'm going to say yes. It's going to ask me about where to actually store this on your hard drive. I usually leave that where it is. Just push next one more time, and then push install. This page here is for the other drivers and other software that you need in order for this to run on your machine. If this is the first time you're installing it, then I would suggest that you click on every one of these to make sure you have it all. If you are simply upgrading your offline program because we've made a new version, you can skip this part and just push finish. Once it's completed, you can simply close the window for the downloads, and you'll notice now that an icon has appeared on your desktop for the RX offline. Simply double click. It does take a few minutes for it to load up, especially the first time. Keep in mind that this is a very big program and it's running as if it's a complete machine. So the software is exactly as your machine out on the shop floor. Therefore, there is a boot up process in order for it to run and work correctly. You will also notice here which version of software you're running. This is the latest right now. But if somewhere in the future we make a new version and you want to upgrade, do everything that I showed you in this whole video and you'll see at the end that this number will change. Here I am at the main screen. So just like on the machine, I have to push check system. I have to hold my reset button. And then you'll notice I can go to DRO mode, do all the same functions I normally have. I can come in here, start my program, and so on and so forth. This part of the process is exactly the same as the machine, but in this case, it's all going to be on your computer. All right, so hopefully I made that pretty simple for you and you can understand the whole process of picking out the proper software, downloading it, creating the icon onto your desktop, being able to open up the offline software and then run it to make your programs. There's also, of course, some other extra benefits involved in this. Like I said earlier, one seat of this software can run both your mills and your lathes. You also can have one seat of this and have all of your converters in it, which means you can convert your DXF files, your Parasolid files, make any other programs, and then from there you can transfer those files onto any machine in your shop. So you get a lot of versatility with only one of them, okay? There's also a free version of this, so if you download it off the website just to try it out, you can program and do everything else. Of course, without the dongle I talked about earlier, you're not going to be able to save those programs and you won't get a full functioning version, right? So you won't have advanced features or any of the converters and stuff like that. So I hope all of these things have been beneficial to you guys. If you have some other questions, as always, reach out to your local TRAK rep, call me at the home office, or call customer service. One of us will help you out. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. And as always, remember to keep on tracking.